Hi everyone, and welcome back to the last video on the Money Tree robot. This video is a bit late. Unfortunately, I was out last week for medical reasons, so you can just pardon my voice if it's a bit croaky or sounds a bit funny, but we're going to try our best to get through this. So the initial purpose of the Money Tree robot was that we tried to replicate their claim of making 700% profit in just 3 months, starting off with a $1,000 account. We used the same broker that they're using, the same account type, and aggressive settings to try and see if we can replicate that result. We've run this now. This is the last week or two, which rounds up around 8 weeks, 9 weeks of testing, so around 2 months of testing. And I'm going to give you my final results here at the end. Okay, so just a summary here. This is basically just pictures and testimonials from the users. We claim over 90% win rate, trades on 15 pairs with low account exposure or low stop loss, prop firm compliant, and then some information on the strategies that they don't use hedging, grid, or anything like that. 100% automated and high average return. Okay, so when we looked at it previously, just to summarize, we didn't really manage to achieve a lot of these results. If we look at their MyFX books, which is a real account, you can see here $1,000 deposit. They're currently sitting at $27,000 worth of profit, so very high profit. Okay, and if you look at February when they started off, up until let's call it April, which would have been 2 months, which is around here, they made around $3,500 worth of profit. When that was our target for the end of these 2 months, is basically to get to that number. Okay, and unfortunately we did not get to the number, so we're going to look at our results now. But just to look at the last sort of trades that they got, this was on the 16th of September, so we don't have data basically for the last week yet to compare whether they took the same trades or not, but that's not really going to make a difference, and I'll show you why in a second. They basically took a whole lot of New Zealand dollar against the Japanese yen trends. So remember, we're trying to make that $3,000, right? Now, when I jump over to the VPN, all right, and here we have it. So you'll see we started off with $1,000. I will note that we are using Blaze Markets, which is what the developers recommend you use as a broker. I can confirm that with the Blaze Markets, I'm taking a pro account on a 200 leverage. I am taking the exact same trades as the vendor, so I can confirm that 100%. A lot of you have tried different brokers and different account types, and sometimes the results vary. Thanks everybody for the feedback. I will say that one user did recommend FX Choice as the broker that they've tried, and they've also had the same trades as the vendor. Please use all these at your own risk, right? The one thing that I will comment about the strategy before we get into the results here is that they claim no martingale, and I would 100% agree with that. In some cases, we did see 1 or 2 trades open up with higher lot sizes. However, it's not a true martingale in the sense that when it goes into drawdown, it's just opening 0.01, 0.02, 0.03. It doesn't actually do that, and it doesn't do it all the time, which leads me to believe it's not a true martingale strategy, right? It isn't also a grid strategy. So generally a grid strategy is, when you're going to put a drawdown here, it just basically, lines them up and hopes for the swing. This does have 1 or 2 trades that do enter in some sort of a grid strategy, but it's not all the time. A lot of times the stop loss comes into play. Okay, so it isn't a martingale, it isn't a grid strategy. I don't really know what it is, but we're going to get into what I think in a moment around using this for the future and whether I recommend it or not. So you can see we started off here, we had quite a few good trades as soon as we started off the robot, quite a lot of profit there. We landed up taking a couple of losses here. The robot then made all of that money back. We then had a huge wipeout as we come down here. You'll see we had very good profit, and we were sitting at about, I think, $1,600 if I'm not mistaken, 1,500 at the end of the first month. So end of month one we were around 50% up. We're then sitting at about $1,600, which is very, very good. And then we had a huge wipeout here between those two trades, which basically took us all the way down. I think it was to almost where we started off. And then the robot came back, it made some more money. We were sitting at around $1,500 again, you know, and then we lost some again, a very big one in the New Zealand JPY that basically took us again to around $1,200. So we couldn't get back to that all-time high of around $1,600. And you'll see here in the last couple of the days, what's been very, very interesting. Let me just filter that by time quickly. What's been very, very interesting here in the last couple of days is, like I mentioned, the vendor doesn't have this updated in my FX book yet, right? We took a whole lot of Euro JPY trades, which were very, very profitable. All of them hitting the take profit, all of them hitting, you know, all in profit. So quite happy with that. However, you'll see here that we did take one big loss, around $400, which basically wiped us out again from that all-time high, which we had was 1,600, brought us all the way back down to 1,200. And that's after the second month, right? So just to note, we are also running this on 0.4 lot sizes, right? You can see that here. So we use the most aggressive settings because we are trying to essentially get that $3,500 profit after 2 months. We weren't able to get it. We only landed up getting $267, okay? So definitely the high risk settings aren't gonna, or in my testing, weren't able to achieve the same results that the broker did, okay? Another thing to note, you'll see they're all 0.4 lot sizes, except for a couple of ones over here where you see it took a 0.68. And this is what I was talking about, somewhat martingale and grid strategy, but not all the time. So we only had 2 instances where we had a 0.4 and a 0.68, so some sort of increase in lot size on the same pair. And again on the euro, a Swiss franc 0.4 and a 0.68. And that was only 2 occurrences in the whole time that we've been trading for 4 months. And you can go up here and see, you know, they've all been 0.4, you know, so that was the only 2 instances when actually it did use some sort of martingale, I would call it martingale grid strategy, and it was a once-off. And it was actually these trades here, that one landed up closing in positive overall. And it was this one here that really wiped our account, you know, that, you know, lost us quite a bit of money there. So that didn't work out too well. And I believe why that happened is that there's probably some sort of inbuilt setting around, you know, equity protection or something like that. And when it went into that high drawdown, it landed up triggering that, you know, which closed those trades in negative. I also mentioned in my previous videos that these same trades where we took a loss on, the vendor took a you know, they actually made money, so they took a positive out of that. And I basically attributed that down to lot size, is that if you're looking for the account that we have, we're using very aggressive 0.4 lot sizes because we're trying to get high growth, right, to replicate their results. But when you look at the vendor's account now with such a big account, they actually seem to have tapered off their lot sizes. So they've seemed to gone, you know, from a high risk in the beginning to try and grow the account. They're now taking smaller lots to basically preserve their capital, which I would also do in that particular case, okay? And so, you know, in this particular case, we took a loss. They were probably using smaller lot sizes, which meant, you know, their equity stop loss maybe didn't kick in. They could catch the swing and close out in positive, where we were not able to do that. So that is just something worth noting, all right? And then the same thing here, you'll see for this particular one, and that's why I say it doesn't use the grid strategy all the time or the martingale, because in this particular one, you know, we had a few New Zealand JPYs that all went, you know, according to profit. And then we had one that was taking huge drawdown. Now, if you look at the other one that we had in huge drawdown over here, we had it about $300, and then another one kicked in at a higher lot size to try and make up for it, right? Which they both closed in negative. But in this particular case, we didn't have that, right? We just had, you know, the one that came in, and you can look at the time of when, you know, that was placed. It was 15 minutes after that. So this trade was already closed, and this one went into drawdown, and it didn't actually land up taking any other trades after that, right? You can see here it basically just hit the stop loss and it called it quits. It didn't take another trade, and then it went on to the Euro JPY trade. So definitely it's not using martingale every single time. It's not using grid strategy every single time. It is using some sort of algorithm, right? The other thing that I do want to mention is you see a lot of these trades kind of grouped together with the same symbol. And what I've realized is how it trades is essentially when it finds a particular trade for whatever algorithm it's using. So in this particular case, it's going to take a buy, right, on Euro JPY. You'll see the price here. It will take a buy, and it may go and hit the take profit, or it may go into a high profit point. And the robot will then sort of calculate to say, look, we almost hit this take profit, or we're in profit. It's still a valid buy, and so it will then enter another one. And you'll see the price here is a little bit higher, okay? And then it will hit take profit, and then it will stay well, and the buy is still viable, and it will, because maybe the market is swinging in the momentum, and it's it's moving in the right direction, and so it will take another buy, take profit, and then the same thing here. So it doesn't cluster buy, if I can put it that way. It basically adds positions, and as the market's moving in the right direction and trades start closing, so you're getting profit. So you can see this close at 864, so that closed in profit, and this one opened up at 872, right? So this opened, closed in profit, then this one opened, closed in profit. This one probably opened after that again, closing profit. So it seems to be doing that, right? And it seems to be working quite well, and you'll see that for a lot of the ones, right? So you do the same thing here. You'll see New Zealand JPY, New Zealand JPY, New Zealand JPY. So that's the most information I can give you in kind of what sort of strategy or algorithm it uses, right? It is some sort of smart combination of algorithms. It does use sometimes the martingale, but not pure martingale. It does, in 2 occasions use some sort of grid, although it's not all the time. It sort of decides to go with the trend in the direction of the swinging of the market. So it will open up positions as you go along. And that's basically the most information I can give you around the algorithm, right? So we landed up making about 50% in month 1. We then landed up losing about 25% of that. So we're closing month 2 with only, $267. So over the 2 months combination, we've only made about 25%, right? So definitely not the most profitable robot that I've tested using, and this is where the caveat comes in, the high risk settings. So I'm going to close this off to bed to say that in my testing over 2 months, I was not able to achieve the high growth that the vendor has. However, I do believe that possibly if we use low risk settings, right, so we use the normal lot sizes, we're able to perhaps get a more steady growth on the account at a lower risk, right? So this may not be for everybody, because initially we wanted to get the big account growth and make a lot of money. I wasn't able to achieve it on demo. However, one of the claims that you saw on the website was that it was prop firm compliant. And a lot of the prop firms only allow you to have a 10% loss in equity before they actually shut your account down. Now, in this particular case, we would have lost the account a long time ago using these risky settings. So now we're going to start phase 2 of the Money Tree robot testing, where we're not using high risk to grow the account to match the vendor. We're going to be using low risk to actually see, would it be prop firm compliant? So if you had to buy this robot and you had a funded account with FTMO, whoever it may be, could you throw this on the charts? Would it be able to trade for you, make profit for you, where you'll be able to withdraw money every month and then still meet those requirements in terms of drawdown and account equity? That is what we're going to be doing next. So I'm going to be creating a new account, a big account, probably a $10,000 demo, right, which would be sort of the minimum that you could get on FTMO. I'm going to chuck this on there. I'm going to use the smallest lot size possible that they recommend from a risk perspective. To achieve that, I have email support to give me some direction on that. So as soon as I get feedback from that, I will let you guys know. Okay. And that's basically the end of the Money Tree phase 1 testing. I hope it's been of some benefit for everybody. I see there is a lot of comments and a lot of questions around this. I've tried to get back to everybody. But what I decided to do as well is I've created a Discord settings or Discord chat, right? And basically what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to be uploading the videos that I'm making for you guys on YouTube with specific information that I'm going to collate from everyone. So if you guys give me feedback, you know, that this broker works with this robot, or this setting works for this, that one works for that, I'm going to collate everything here for you guys. It's going to be completely free to access this Discord. So you're always going to have reference to information. So if you want to come back to, you know, my Pro Max Gold videos, and you now want to run a Pro Max Gold video, you'll be able to come back here and find all the information and not have to go watch through 8 videos, right? If you now coming onto the Money Tree for the first time, instead of you going through my YouTube and watching all 8 weeks, you could come here and find all the information that you need. Okay, so that's all going to be in here. One other thing, a lot of people have also asked around whether I do copy trading and things like that. I generally sometimes do copy trading. So if I've got, you know, particular people that have, you know, a reasonably large size accounts, I will link it onto my VPS, onto my trades, you know, and then I do basically copy trading service for you. I've got information around there. If you want the settings, the custom settings that I've been using on Swing VIP to make 20% a month, and basically on the Pro Max Gold to be doubling the account every 4 months, that's also in here. And then I have partnered up with another company as well that does mentorship and Forex training around strategies for you guys. If that's something you want to get into, that's not affiliated with me, but I think that they're good value. I've seen what they do, and I got on board with that, right? The final thing that I just want to bring to everybody's attention is that obviously these licenses are very, very expensive when we're doing all this sort of testing, right? So you can see here the Money Tree, it's about $600 for 1 year, and you're looking at $900 for lifetime membership. Now, my aim of this YouTube channel is to try and give you guys as much, you know, real world testing. So I'm not doing back testing, I'm actually doing live market testing on essentially the EAs and the robots that you want to see, that you've maybe heard some hype about. You know, there's some back test that looks a bit dodgy. You want to know, does it work or not? And I want to put them on and give you those results, which is what I've been trying to do. However, these do cost a lot of money. So the more robots I test, obviously, the more expensive it becomes. So what I've done is, you know, just to support the growth and try and fund more robots in the future, I've partnered up with LMFX, which is a broker that I personally use on my live account. So we're talking anywhere from, you know, $5,000 per account, you know, in excess of $10,000 that I'm currently trading on my live accounts. You guys would have seen them already being used on my VPS, you know, for my previous robots as well. So works very well on robots and EAs. I use them on my live accounts. You know, you guys can see them over here as well. Just give me a sec. So you can see I've actually using them here as well on all live accounts, and then another one on a live account there. That's my Pro Max Gold one. So I am using, you know, quite a lot of their accounts. I'm really happy with them. They offer zero spread accounts, they offer fixed accounts, premium accounts, high leverage as well for those of you who want it. And they've also got nice bonuses, right? So if you want to deposit money, they'll 100% match your bonus. So if you put in $1,000, you know, let's say, they will give you another $1,000 worth of credit, obviously terms and conditions, but it allows you then to use higher account sizes, or you can go for 15% recovery bonus. So if you end up blowing your account, they'll give you 15% of your account size to try and resurrect it. So I've partnered up with them just to try and offset some of the cost of these high robots. I will have a link down in the description if you guys want to check them out. I ask you to please support them. It helps support me in bringing you guys the robots that you want me to test. To sign up with them is absolutely free. You just have to follow the link. You have to use my code, and basically I will get notified, you know, that you guys obviously supported me, and then I will obviously give you guys some access or exclusive access in the Discord to my settings. I'm going to be doing free giveaways on robots. I'm going to be doing free giveaways on licenses as well, to try and grow this channel so that I can invest whatever I do make to get more licenses and do more testing. So if you do want to support me, absolutely free of charge, please go and sign up for LMFX as a broker. Details are down in the description below. Use the code, and we'll hopefully sort you out from there. Come and drop me a message in the Discord as well, so that we can start building a community and start interacting, and hopefully we can get this thing going. So that's the end of this video. What is there to look forward to in the money tree? Like I mentioned, phase 2 we're going to be doing is around trying to test now whether they are FTMO or prop firm compliant. So that's the next thing we want to do, and then hopefully in our efforts to try and confirm that, we're going to be able to achieve a 90% win rate using lower lot sizes. Thanks so much everyone for supporting the channel. I'll see you again on the next video. Cheers.